Young Light and the Handlers by Amir Ahmed. Chapter 1. The static and the signal. The city never really slept, it just changed languages. At night, New York spoke in murmurs, tires whispering over wet pavement, a siren's fatting wail, steam sighing through the grates. The streetlights blinked like tired eyes trying to stay awake. Young Light leaned on the rusted railing outside his building, hoodie half up, headphones hanging around his neck. The bass still hummed in his chest, the kind of track that made you nod even when you didn't want to. But tonight, the rhythm didn't land right. Something inside him felt out of sync. He didn't know why, but everything sounded doubled: his thoughts, his breath, even the beat inside his body. That's when the static started. Not the kind you hear from bad speakers. This one was inside him. A low, invisible hum behind every word he thought. He shook his head like you do when water's stuck in your ear, but the sound didn't leave. Then a voice came through, calm, low, too familiar to be foreign, too strange to be his own. "You hear it now, don't you?" He looked around. Nobody was there, just the alley stretching into the dark, the glow of a flickering corner store sign, and the hum of the city. "Who's there?" he whispered. "Not who, what, I've been here, always have." The words didn't echo, they landed directly in him like thought with sound attached. "You bugging out," he told himself. "I need sleep." But the voice only chuckled, soft and patient. "Sleep's not the problem. You've been asleep while walking, while talking, while fighting, while smiling. You just don't know what waking feels like yet." He stepped back, heart thudding. His shadow stretched across the brick wall like it had its own pulse. And just for a moment, just long enough to doubt everything he knew, he saw his shadow move differently from him. A figure stepped out from that shadow, dressed in the same hoodie, same kicks, same eyes, except they glowed faintly like light trapped behind smoke. "You're me?" Young Light said. "Not exactly, I'm what sees you." The figure didn't walk, it drifted slightly, like movement obeyed different rules for it. "They call me the Observer. You'll remember that name when the noise gets too loud." "You talking like a fortune cookie, man. You real or real enough," the Observer said, cutting him off. "You hear the static, that's the sound of your system fighting to keep you asleep." "System, the handlers," it said. "They run your habits, your emotions, your reactions. They mean well mostly. They think they're keeping you safe, but they're scared of change." The words hit him like wind. "So what, I'm supposed to fight myself?" "Not fight," the Observer said. "Watch. The moment you can watch your mind without drowning in it, you start to drive it." A distant train roared underground. The sound vibrated through his feet, through the railing, up his spine. The city felt like one massive living body, and for the first time he felt inside it instead of outside. "Why me?" Young Light asked quietly. "Because you started asking questions that don't have quick answers, and that's how every awakening begins." The air thickened. The lights from the street started to blur. Out from the corners of the alley, out from the graffiti shadows, came three figures. Their shapes wavered like heat waves on asphalt. "These are the first," the Observer said. "Meet your handlers." First was tall, shoulders sharp, voice like broken glass. "Name's Fear," it said, smirking. "You know me, I'm the one who makes you think twice before you shine." The second was smaller, hood pulled tight, eyes darting left and right. "I'm Doubt," they muttered. "I whisper right after you get an idea." The third wore a face that kept shifting, smiling one second, cold the next. "And I," he said with a grin, "am Pride. I don't let you ask for help when you need it." Young Light felt a chill crawl up his neck. "They've been with me this whole time." "Longer than that," the Observer said. "You feed them every day with every unspoken fear, every reaction, every story you tell yourself." Fear crossed his arms. "Don't act brand new. We kept you alive out here." "You did," the Observer agreed. "But he's ready to live, not just survive." The ground trembled slightly, a subway beneath. Light flickered from the street, painting them all in flashes of orange, purple, and shadow. The moment looked unreal, like something out of his own dream. Young Light wanted to run. Instead, he spoke. "So what am I supposed to do?" "Learn to see," the Observer said. "You can't change what you can't see, but once you see, really see, you can't go back." Fear laughed. "We'll see about that." Doubt leaned closer. "You think you're strong enough for this? Wait till we show you what's underneath." And Pride smiled. "You'll beg for the old days when you didn't know." When he finally blinked again, the alley was empty. No shadows moving, no glowing eyes. Just the hum of the city, a cat darting across the street, and the sound of his own breath, heavier now but calm. He lifted his phone. The time read 3:33. His reflection in the cracked screen seemed to look back at him differently. "All right," he whispered to himself. "If you reel, then show me something." Somewhere deep in the back of his mind, the observer's voice smiled. "I already did." He walked home under the half-lit sky, heart still racing, headphones swinging. For the first time in his life he listened, not to the city, not to the music, but to the silence underneath. And the silence spoke back. Chapter 2. The handler's move. The morning came slow, slipping through the blinds in thin golden stripes. Young Light lay awake long before the alarm went off, eyes open, body still. The city outside was already alive. Horns, shouts, the train grinding somewhere beneath the earth like a monster with metal lungs. He tried to shake the memory of last night, but it sat inside him like static that wouldn't clear. He rose, pulled on a hoodie, splashed cold water on his face. His reflection stared back at him, not quite matching his movements, eyes sharper than before. For a second, it looked like his reflection grinned while he didn't. He blinked hard and it was gone. He threw on his backpack and stepped outside. The air carried that early New York mix of car exhaust, corner store coffee, and rain left over from the night before. He moved through the streets like usual, headphones in, hood up, but every sound felt stretched wider. The rhythm of people's steps, the rhythm of his breath, the buzz of power lines above, it all connected somehow, like the city was one giant thought thinking itself. Then came the whispers, not from outside, inside. "You see me yet?" He froze. The voice was soft but carried weight, fear's voice. He turned his head. "Nobody close enough to be talking. Thought you could ignore me." The voice said, "I'm not the type to disappear." The crowd moved past him, faces blurry with morning focus. He stepped aside, pressed himself against a building, pretending to check his phone. "I see you," he said under his breath. "That's cute," Fear said, the sound dripping with sarcasm. "Seeing ain't the same as knowing." The air beside him shimmered and Fear appeared, not fully physical but close enough. Broad shoulders, eyes glowing with cold fire, the faint outline of smoke rising off his frame. He leaned against the wall like he belonged there. "You ever notice," Fear said, "how every time you about to speak up your chest tightens? That's me. You ever scroll past your own idea online, cause you think somebody already said it better? That's me too. You don't move without me, kid." Young Light swallowed hard. "I moved last night." Fear smiled, all teeth and calm. "That wasn't you moving, that was me letting you think you did. You start looking too close at things, people start looking at you strange. I keep you safe, that's my job." Young Light stared back, pulse heavy. "You don't protect me, you stop me." Fear's eyes darkened. "Same thing out here." Before he could answer, a shout echoed from across the street. "Yo, Light." It was Dree, his closest friend, always wearing a gray beanie and a grin that never seemed to fade. Dree jogged across, weaving through traffic like the city itself parted for him. "You look like you ain't slept," Dree said. "You good?" "Yeah," Light said, "just thinking." "About what?" "Stuff. You ever feel like something watching you?" Dree laughed. "Bro, that's New York, cameras everywhere." Light forced a smile, but the words didn't land. They started walking toward school. Dree talked about music, about a track he was working on. Light nodded, but half his attention was somewhere else. The static was back, faint and rhythmic, like a low drumbeat beneath the world. Halfway down the block, another voice slipped in, quick, nervous, cutting through the noise. "Maybe don't tell him," it whispered. Light stopped. "Who?" "You know who," said the voice. This one he recognized too, Doubt. "Let him think you tripping," Doubt said. "You start talking about voices, they'll say you lost it." Dree turned around. "Yo, you coming?" "Yeah," Light said quickly. They kept walking. Doubt lingered like fog. "You can't show people what they ain't ready to see," it said. "They'll laugh, they'll step back. You know how this city eats anything weird." Light clenched his fists. "You don't run me." "Maybe not," Doubt said softly, "but I whisper the truth you already believe." At school, the halls buzzed with energy. Lockers slammed. Someone freestyled badly near the stairs. The smell of cafeteria fries carried from somewhere unseen. Dree peeled off toward his math class, leaving Light alone by his locker. He leaned against the metal door, staring at the floor. Everything looked the same, but felt like a dream he'd already seen before. The teachers, the sounds, even his own name being called during roll, like the whole place ran on autopilot. That's when he saw her. A girl standing at the end of the hall, hoodie like his. earbuds in, eyes sharp and steady. She looked right at him, not past him, not through him, but directly at him. The world dimmed around her. The static dropped. She nodded once like she knew something. When class let out, he searched for her, but she was gone. No one seemed to remember her being there. As he walked home later, the city felt heavier. The observer hadn't spoken since last night, but the presence was still near, a quiet awareness in the back of his thoughts. By the time he reached the corner store, Pride showed up. Pride didn't appear like the others. He came wearing young Light's face, but cleaner, smoother, his clothes brighter, his stride confident. He leaned on the counter next to Light, ordering a drink with ease. "Look at you," Pride said. "Talking to shadows, hearing voices, that's not what a real one does." Light frowned. "You again?" "Always," Pride said. "I'm the reason you don't flinch when people test you. I'm the one who made you walk taller when you had nothing. You think I'm the enemy, I'm your backbone." "You're my mask," Light said. "You make me front when I should feel." Pride smirked. "Feeling don't feed you, image does." Light turned away. "You sound like fear." "Fear, the brakes, I'm the gas. Together we keep you alive." He walked out into the evening. The light was fading, buildings stretching tall and orange against the sky. Inside him, the three voices blended, fear cautious, doubt whispering, pride smirking, and beneath them all a hum deeper than the rest. The observer, quiet, patient. He reached the roof of his building and sat down. The city lights flickered below like 1,000 moving stars. He closed his eyes. For the first time that day, he stopped fighting the noise. He just listened. Every sound, the traffic, the shouts, the hum layered together until something else emerged beneath it all. A rhythm not from the streets but from inside him. The static began to clear, and under it a signal pulsed steady and alive. He didn't know what it was yet, but he knew it was his. He opened his eyes, and for a split second he saw her again, the girl from the hallway standing across the rooftop on another building. She smiled, then vanished into the light. The observer's voice returned at last. "Now," it said, "you begin to see the handlers move." Young Light looked out over the city, heart steady, mind sharp. For the first time, the chaos felt like conversation, and he was ready to learn the language. Chapter 3, Mirrors in motion. Morning sunlight spilled through the blinds like thin ribbons of gold, cutting across young Light's room in crooked lines. He sat at the edge of his bed, elbows on his knees, staring at the floor. The silence wasn't empty anymore. It had a shape, like breath waiting to be noticed. He didn't tell anyone about the girl on the roof. He didn't tell Dree about the handlers or the voice that called itself the observer. Some things couldn't be explained without sounding like madness. And yet beneath the noise of everyday life, he could feel something steadying inside him. His phone buzzed. "Dree again. Dree, yo, we hitting the park after class. Don't duck me." "Light, bet." He threw on a clean hoodie and stepped into the hallway. His mom was in the kitchen, humming to a gospel song playing low on the radio. The smell of toast and coffee filled the small apartment. "You good, baby?" she asked, eyes still on the pan. "Yeah," he said automatically. She glanced at him, seeing the distance in his eyes. "You sure? You been real quiet lately." "I'm straight," she nodded slowly. "Just remember, quiet's cool until it starts feeling like weight. Don't carry everything by yourself." Her words lingered longer than he expected. Outside, the city felt different again, like it was paying attention. Even the pigeons seemed to move in patterns, like invisible lines connected them all. At school, everything played out like clockwork, but now he noticed every click, every pause. Teachers' voices rose and fell like waves. Students laughed in predictable bursts. He began to see the rhythm of it all, patterns, loops. He realized that most people weren't really awake, they were acting out routines built from yesterday's thoughts. That's when the observer spoke again, quiet but clear. "You see the motion yet?" "I see repetition," Light whispered to himself. "That's the first mirror," the observer said. "The world reflects your inner state. What you notice outside shows what's moving inside." At first he didn't understand, but by lunch it made sense. Dree and a group of friends were arguing about something trivial, a verse, a game, some pointless debate about who was the greatest. But Light could hear the real thing underneath it: competition, insecurity, the need to prove worth, and it hit him hard. He'd been the same way, always proving, never just being. The thought made him flinch, and that's when another voice slid in, this one slow, smooth, and thoughtful. "Careful," it said. Reflection cuts both ways. He turned. A tall woman leaned against a pillar near the cafeteria doors, skin the color of bronze smoke, eyes like rippling water. She wore a denim jacket covered in mirrors, tiny ones that caught the light and threw it back in shards. "Who are you?" he asked quietly. "They call me Memory," she said, smiling slightly. "Every time you think you've changed, I show you who you used to be." Light felt a twist in his chest. "You real enough," she said. "You want to wake up, fine. But waking means seeing the old versions of yourself, the ones still trying to be heard." He blinked, and in the mirrors on her jacket, flashes appeared, him yelling in anger, running from fights, standing quiet when he should have spoken up. Each reflection was a scene, an echo. "Stop," he said, stepping back. "You stop," she replied softly. "I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to remind you what you've carried." The mirrors dimmed, and the cafeteria snapped back to normal. Dree was calling him again, laughing about something. Memory was gone, but the feeling was. All day, reflections followed him, store windows, puddles, metal surfaces. Each one seemed to move a split second slower, watching him, not creepy, just aware. By the time he got to the park after school, he was exhausted. Dree was already there, shooting hoops with a couple of kids from the block. Light joined in, half-hearted at first, until the rhythm of the game started to clear his head. Movement, focus, breath. For a moment everything synced, the thud of the ball, the scrape of sneakers, the shouts from the court. It was all flow. Then a thought slid through like a ripple on water. Every action starts with a thought you didn't see. He missed a shot. Dree laughed. "Man, you daydreaming or meditating?" Light smirked. "Maybe both." As the sun began to set, painting the buildings in copper and fire, Light sat on the bleachers and watched people move through their small orbits. Everyone chasing something, attention, comfort, distraction. He thought of the observer's words again. The world reflects your inner state. If that was true, then the chaos outside was just a mirror of what was happening inside him. "Still watching," the observer whispered. "Still learning," Light replied. That night he walked home slow. The city was alive with sound, music blasting from a car, laughter spilling from an open window, footsteps echoing off brick. He passed a storefront and saw his reflection again. But this time it didn't copy him right away. It waited like it wanted to see what he would do first. He reached out and touched the glass. The reflection smiled faintly, then faded like smoke. He didn't panic, he just breathed. For a long time he stood there, hand on the cool glass, feeling the pulse of the city and his own heartbeat sinking in one rhythm. When he turned to leave, Memory was waiting at the corner, half shadow, half light. "Why show me all that?" he asked. "Because you can't build new truth on old denial," she said. "The past isn't gone, it's just unclaimed energy. Learn from it or repeat it." He nodded slowly. "And if I don't want to remember," she smiled sadly, "then you'll just keep living what you refuse to see." She faded into the night. He kept walking, the hum of the city washing through him like breath. For the first time he felt both heavy and light, anchored but aware of something rising inside him. He thought of fear, doubt, and pride, the handlers still lurking in his shadows, and of the new presence, Memory, holding the keys to what came before. As he climbed the stairs to his building, a whisper drifted through the dark, low and certain. "Every mirror you face shows what you're ready to change." He didn't turn around. He didn't need to. He just kept walking, the static almost gone now, replaced by something else entirely, a quiet frequency of truth growing stronger with every step. Chapter 4. The voice beneath the noise the next morning came wrapped in rain. It wasn't violent rain, just that quiet, endless kind that painted the city silver and made everything sound closer than it was. The streets whispered. Tires hissed against wet asphalt. The air smelled like metal and memory. Young Light sat by the window, watching drops race down the glass. His mother had already left for work, leaving behind the usual note on the counter: "Breakfast money, be safe, I love you." He folded it neatly and slipped it into his pocket like a charm. He hadn't seen Memory since the night before, but her words wouldn't leave him. You can't build new truth on old denial. Every sound this morning carried something behind it, a tone, a frequency, a rhythm that felt almost alive. The city wasn't just breathing anymore, it was humming, and somewhere under that hum a voice was forming. At school everything was off balance. Teachers spoke, but their words echoed in strange patterns. Friends talked, but their laughter bent around invisible corners. It was as if every sound had a ghost, an afterimage that lingered just a little too long. In math class, Light felt the hum rising again, this time beneath the teacher's voice. Not in words, more like vibration, like a pulse calling his attention somewhere deeper. He closed his eyes. The room vanished. He was standing in a place that wasn't exactly a place, just darkness threaded with thin lines of light vibrating in rhythm. The sound of breath filled the air, deep and slow. Then from the shadows a figure emerged, cloaked in soft blue luminescence. "You found the resonance," it said. Light took a step back. "Who are you now?" "I'm Echo," the voice replied, calm and low. "Every sound you ignore becomes me, every word unspoken, every truth swallowed." Light looked around. The lines of light around him began to shimmer, bending like water in motion. "Why do you sound like me?" Echo smiled faintly. "Because you've been talking to yourself all along. The observer, memory, me, we're all just your awareness in different voices." "That's not possible." "It's inevitable," Echo said. "The more you listen, the more you'll realize you've never truly heard." Light wanted to argue, but the sound in the air shifted, vibrating between low thunder and whisper. Shapes began to form in the light, each one pulsing with rhythm. Words, sounds, breaths, laughter, arguments, everything he'd ever heard. "All sound is memory," Echo continued. "The city, the people, the noise, it's all an orchestra of things left unsaid. Every human heartbeat plays a note, and together they form the song of this world." Light reached out, and the vibrations rippled around his hand like warm water. "What am I supposed to do with this?" "Listen deeper," Echo said. "The surface of sound hides meaning. Beneath noise lies intention. When you can hear the tone beneath words, you'll never be deceived again." The world flickered, and suddenly he was back in class, the teacher's voice cutting through like static. But now Light could hear everything differently. Beneath the words about numbers and formulas, there was fatigue, resignation, a small tremor of hope that someone, anyone, was really listening. He raised his hand. "You okay, Ms. Jacobs?" She blinked. "What? Oh yes, I'm fine, just a long week." He nodded. "I hear that." Something in her face softened like a window opening. She smiled real this time and went back to teaching. At lunch, Dree noticed the change. "Bro, you good? You been quiet lately, but like, different quiet." Light smirked. "Maybe I'm just listening for once," Dree laughed. "Man, I swear, you always saying some Jedi monk stuff now." But Light wasn't joking. Every sound around him had weight now. The buzz of vending machines, the chatter of students. Even silence carried texture like woven fabric. And through it all the hum kept returning. After school the rain still hadn't stopped. Light walked through it, hoodie pulled up, shoes splashing puddles in slow rhythm. The sound of the rain became something else entirely, like a code being whispered by the sky. He followed it instinctively, down 2 blocks and around the corner to a narrow alley behind an old record store. The door was half open, the flicker of yellow light spilling out. Inside, vinyl records covered the walls, and behind the counter sat a man with deep brown skin and silver eyes, humming quietly as he cleaned a turntable. "You found the current," the man said without looking up. Light froze. "You're another one, aren't you?" The man chuckled softly. "Depends who's asking. I'm rhythm. I keep the beat when the world forgets its song." "Rhythm," Light repeated. "Like music." "Like movement," Rhythm said. "Everything that lives moves in time. Even silence dances if you're patient enough to feel it." He gestured to a stool. "Sit. You've been hearing too much without grounding it." Light sat. The man placed headphones over his ears. At first there was only static, then a low pulse. Then hundreds of faint overlapping voices, rising and falling together. "What is this?" Light asked. "The city," Rhythm said. "Every sound layered into one heartbeat. Most people only hear chaos, you hear connection." Light closed his eyes. Beneath the noise there was structure, patterns, frequencies weaving together like veins of light. And then one voice broke through the rest. A voice he recognized. His own. It wasn't speaking words, only humming, a deep, steady tone that held everything else in place. He pulled the headphones off. "That's me," Rhythm nodded. "You finally caught your own signal, remember it. When the world gets loud, this is what keeps you from breaking apart." Light breathed slowly, letting the sound fade into his chest. "So every sound I hear is a chance to remember yourself," Rhythm finished. "When you master listening, you'll hear the truth behind every lie and the silence beneath every storm." When Light stepped back outside, the rain had slowed to a drizzle. The city seemed softer now, less like chaos, more like a living instrument tuning itself. He stood there, eyes closed, feeling the rhythm of everything. Cars, footsteps, wind, his own pulse sinking to it all. The observer's voice returned, faint but certain. You're beginning to hear the voice beneath the noise. Guard it well. The next lesson isn't in sound, it's in stillness. Light opened his eyes, and for a moment he could see faint threads of light connecting everything, the world breathing in perfect time. He didn't smile, he didn't speak, he just listened. Because now he understood, the world wasn't just alive, it was aware, and it had been trying to talk to him all along.